Hello, parents. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of my intentional parenting journey. Who is happy to be here? Who is happy to be here? My intentional parenting journey, MIPJ, is one of the sweetest things that happens in the academy.
Mm.
It feels like this space, you know, every time always special for me because it feels like a living room conversation where parents sit down, share their raw stories, their raw transformation. Sometimes when you hear stories, you think it's an amicable we are doing here. It's not amicable. The story I mean is, you know what? These stories, they are not just stories. They are not amicable. They are the powerful reminder that change is possible. That transformation is real. Transformation is real. And when a parent's life is shifted, generation shifts, generation becomes, and that's so priceless for me. It is. Before we begin, please give me the opportunity to pause and appreciate the vessel of God, the vessel God used to birth this platform, our own very Coach Wendy. Coach, Ma, thank you for saying yes to God's assignment. For your obedience has become a bridge that allows parents all over the world, parents across nations to find tools, language, community for raising children with sense. Quotes. Sense in a quote. For raising children with sense, we celebrate you, ma. For me, it's always a privilege. Thank you so much, Coach Wendy. And now, let's talk about today's girls. Hmm? She's a homemaker, she's a business owner, and a founder of a thriving women's community called Wise Wives. She's a voice in Zambia, but also a voice in the intentional journey. So today, please help me welcome Mrs. Emily Ngonomo. Mrs. Emily, thank you so much for being here and for coming to share your journey with us. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. We welcome you. Thank you, ma'am. So, moving on to the conversation, ma'am, I would want to start from the beginning, ma'am. I would want to know, how did you first come across the Inner Circle, the Intentional Parents Academy Inner Circle program? And what made you say yes to joining? What made you decide this is it? I need this. And then boom, you joined. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor and a privilege to be here and a delight, obviously. It's nice to meet you as well. A lot of the times we speak to or we chat with the admin team, but we don't really know who's behind it. And so, Mr. Ife, thank you for hosting me this morning. A very big thank you to our Mama Cathedral, as we call her, Coach Wendy Ologe. I absolutely honor you, Ma. So how I came across the Intentional Parent Academy. This is my second year in the inner circle. So last year, the year before, towards the end of the year, I was reevaluating my life. I was looking at everything that I was doing, parenting, marriage, life. And I remember just feeling this unshakable feeling of there has to be more. I was doing the best that I could, especially, with my children. I have two young daughters, 5 and 3. Well, they're 5 and 3 now, but they were 4 and 1 at the time, and 2 rather. My math is funny this morning. Anyway, but what happened was I was praying about it, and I happened to be on YouTube, and that was when I saw, um, I think it was the TRT conference, and it was one of the conversations that Coach Wendy, I think the guest that day was Mr. Praise Fowowe. I clicked on it and I listened to the entire session and I was awed. Immediately after that, I went onto Google. I Google searched Coach Wendy. I read up a little bit about her. And it was in that moment that I decided that whatever it took, I was going to join this academy. And so, uh, actually, my mother-in-law, we were having a conversation, and I told her about it. I didn't have the money at that point, But she sent me the money, and that was my investment. That was the beginning of my investment into the inner circle. And I have not looked back since. This year, I have been privileged to have my younger sister join and my husband as well. So that's how the Intentional Parent Academy, it happened to me. Really, it was an answered prayer. I didn't quite go looking. No one told me about it. I was literally directed to the academy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was so powerful. And now you have your sister, your husband, and many more as time goes on. Join the
Yes.
Inner Circle program. Parents, I don't know if you're catching that because many times we think we are doing our best, but our best can still lack structures. And when you finally come into that space, when you finally find it, the space that gives you the language, the direction, you just don't want to be there alone. You want the transformation to reach everybody around you because it's something very profound, something that if it comes into you, you can't keep quiet. You see, that's how the inner circle exists. That's so powerful. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing. As we move on, ma'am, I want to know. Yes, you already mentioned, but I want to know. You said you've been in the inner circle for 2 years now. Yes, that's been answered. I was going to say, how long have you been in the inner circle? But then I want to know what kept you. You know, what's one thing that has kept you consistent, that have kept you rooted here, that have even pushed you to go more in your circle, to your family, to everyone around you, to bring them into this community, into this
Mhm.
the into the inner circle program. Over to you. Thank you, ma'am.
When you are when you are lost and you are seeking answers and you find the answer, I don't think the journey ends because now you are in a space. You have to commit to the journey. And that's what has kept me. One of the things that I had said even last year, and I'm so glad that I'm here again a second time. The first year for me was orientation. It was a discovery of all of the things that I was missing out on, all of the as you said, the strategies, the structure, and the tools for my parenting journey. And my children are young. I have a few years to go before they each turn 18. And we know in the arc that your parenting journey on average is 18 years. And that is when you are discipling, you are training, you are instilling. And then at 18 is deployment. And so I cannot leave my training ground and then be left wanting. Just this morning, we received our marching orders. The voice note dropped, the wisdom note dropped. And so the inner circle, or rather parenting, is a battle that you were enlisted for. The day you had children, unbeknownst to you or not, you enlisted in a war for your children. And so we're here as a community fighting the same fight as you because the war out there is on children. But over here, we're fighting for our children. We have a responsibility to raise them well, to train them up in the way that they should go, so that when they're older, they will not depart. And so for me, that has been the staying power. For me, that has been the reason for waking up. I look at my children and they're growing every single day. So many things change about them. One of the things, and I might even be preempting where we're going, but for me this year, my goal was simply connection with my children and consistency on my part. So, like, as I mentioned, last year for me was orientation. This year has been me dealing with myself. There are so many things that I didn't even know, that I wasn't aware of, that were wrong programming, or things that were missing in my upbringing. And so this year, I have seriously contended with myself. It has been a beautiful journey of discovery, of awakening, of enlightenment. And I thank God for every single day that I'm in the inner circle. And it's help for every single day because parenting is every single day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma. I love the sound of that. She said, when you're fighting a war, when 100 lions are chasing you, you don't want to be
Mm,
outside the safe space. That's amazing. I love the points about consistency. Parents, Did you hear? Transformation is not just a one thing. She said it has to be when you start parenting until your children are up to 18, even after they are above 18. You don't have to stop because the war you're fighting, what is chasing you, it is not a one-time thing, no. It's a
Mhm.
process. Once you start seeing the results, you don't want to stop. You want to keep aligning, even after they are above the age, even after they are above the age you've given yourself to be consistent in this community, in the learning process. That's why parents
Mhm.
like Mrs. Emily stay, because it is a journey of growth, not just about information, not just about the information you just get and it's over there. No, she stayed because
Mhm.
it is something that keeps. Thank you so much, Ma, for sharing that. That was so profound. So, Ma, moving on, I would want to know, you've attended several inner circle webinars. Aside the TIP, the intentional parent courses we run in the academy, you've attended several inner circle core webinars. You've, I don't know if you can, if you had to pick, if you're to pick top three sessions that shifted everything for you, which would they be and why? Thank you, Ma. Over to you.
This is always such a hard one to answer because the vastness and the richness of all of the webinars is incredible. But if I have to zero in to my season of life now, and I the hint is there, seasons of life, what Coach Omolola taught in that really just opened me up to myself. There were things that I was doing just out of, I guess, intellect, and and they made sense to me, you know. But what that webinar did for me is really align me and give me a sense of this is the way you need to be going. And I was able to figure out and actually pinpoint this is where you're lacking. This is where you need to grow. This is what you're doing right. Keep going. One of the things, the greatest things that Inner Circle has given me is an advantage in parenting, in life. There are things that, and even just listening to today's voice note and the wisdom note, there were things that I did or assumed that I could do later. My children are still young. There's no such thing. And so, in every phase of my children's upbringing, there are things that I need to be doing. There are systems that need to be running. There is programming that needs to be running in the background. What am I doing? What am I instilling? What am I teaching? And more so, it's not just in teaching, as in what I say with my words, but how am I living? How am I modeling? Paul said, "Imitate me as I imitate Christ." And so the inner circle has been that place for me that has allowed me to really find my footing. So many stories, so many examples of other parents on the same path as I am, like minded people. The most incredible, it's such a melting pot of diversity. For me, one of the things I love as well about the inner circle is the cultural exchange. I'm Zambian. You're in Nigeria. We have people from different nationalities, different experiences. And so, what that has done for me is even give me the speed. Someone might share something that isn't pertinent to where I am. But when it shows up in my parenting, let's say a few years from now, when my daughters are a little older, I will know what to do because even the example, the real life example, the testimony of another would have helped me along the way. So, seasons of life, most definitely. Honor as a skill. That webinar beat me black and blue in the best of ways. It again showed me myself. It showed me where I was being irresponsible with my marriage. It showed me where I was dishonoring. Sometimes you don't even know you're not honoring in the things that you do. But I was able to course correct. And I hope one day my husband can come and share about some of the changes that he has seen in my life. And I'm grateful for that. The next one is kind of hard, but I think I would say the last webinar, again, Coach Omolola, where she was talking about transaction and transcendence. And that's, again, based off of where we are as a family, learning what we need to learn and learning what needs to be unlearned, and then implementing the new information that we're learning. Because everything that we do, our children are arrows in our quiver. And so whatever it is that we plant as seed, we will see as harvest multiplied in them. And so for me, there's a great sense of urgency. And this is to every single parent that is listening. I think the level to which you will commit and you will run with the things that you're hearing is based off of your current situation and the urgency with which you need to run. Others might feel, oh no, I've been here a while, and maybe I should relax. You cannot relax, because the enemy that we are fighting has no conscience. He does not stop. There's programming that is running now, agenda, propaganda that is running, and we're seeing it play out in full color in the world today, that was, deployed so many years ago, way before our time. But here we are having an opportunity to band together, because there is strength in numbers. And I absolutely believe it, that we can build our children and just have them battle ready for the life that they will live even beyond us. So I think those three um, are my top currently. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, ma. If you're just joining us and you're just listening, welcome. You're listening to Mrs. Emily Sarah share her parenting journey and her transformation through the Inner Circle program. She's been able to put out practical terms of how the Inner Circle has transformed her home, of how the Inner Circle has kept her rooted, of how she cannot keep this transformation to herself. Instead, she has spread it everywhere around her, and she made sure that the entire family are in the Inner Circle. And she said, the Inner Circle webinars, the Inner Circle trainings have always met her at a point where she needs to apply it at every point in her parenting. It has been a transformation for her. All the Inner Circle webinars have been a transformation for her. But then she was able to pick out the powerful three. Parents, I don't know if you hear that. These webinars, when you sit in these webinars, the Inner Circle webinar, even if you're deaf, your ear will open. Hey, you wouldn't know this thing until you come into the space, until you attend one of the Inner Circle webinars. Then you know that this webinars, the information, the transformation that comes through the Inner Circle webinar, they are not just motivational talks. They are deep practical lessons that completely shift you. It shifts your mindset at a time, at a whole. Like it comes like it comes like there's anointing. It just all over you. It just shifts everything. And when you can name this Inner Circle webinars, when you sit on these webinars, there are many of them. And when you can pick out the top ones that are the ones that did the things for you, that change you, that shows something, then you could literally you could literally see it, that it's not just theory. When someone is coming, sitting down, picking out this webinar, you could literally see that it is a transformation you can never measure, a transformation that is very priceless. You wouldn't know it, you won't say it, you can't feel it until you are in the Inner Circle program. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for sharing that. That was so powerful. And then I was going to ask, ma'am, beyond the webinars in the Inner Circle program, beyond the training we do in the Inner Circle program, beyond the classes we sit in for in the Inner Circle program, I want to know, in the Inner Circle community, we also draw from so many resources like books that carry wisdom and strategy. I was going to ask you, man, I want to know, which of these books we've read together in the Inner Circle program, which of this book you've taken to sit down and read that changed for you? I mean, that really impacted your parenting, your marriage, ma'am. Please, I would want to know, please. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Again, a hard one, but based off of where I am this year, we were able to, as Team Zambia, we were able to get our book. So shout out to my Team Zambia sisters. We have our physical copies of a lot of the books that we obviously that Coach Wendy has written. And so for me, I think the first one that I picked up was Raising the Girl with Sins. I sat with it, I highlighted. One of the things that I really, really appreciated was how, structured it is, and it would break down sense of identity, sense of belonging, esteem. And when I looked at my own self, it was bittersweet because had I read or had my late mother or my parents read such a book in their time for me, there are so many things about me that I had to deal with growing up that would have been, formed or enforced in my life. I struggled with esteem, believe it or not, that I'm even able here to sit down and have a conversation with you live. But I was shy. I would talk amongst the people that I was familiar with, but to stand up and just go out, I would feel inside me, I can do this thing. But there was always something about me that held me back. And so again, like I said at the beginning, that this year has had me face me. I've had to address a lot of these things. So even in reading the book, it was healing and therapy for me first, before I can even begin to look at my daughters. And so one of the things I can give an as example as well, that was a challenge for me, that was a parenting challenge for me, was that I was a chronic yeller. I mean, I was raised being yelled at. I mean, that was a parenting tool that was used for, I think for most African families, you are yelled at. And so I brought in that same thinking. And it was in the inner circle that I realized that that wasn't the way to go. One of the things that also had to change for us was our oldest. When she was 2 years old, we discovered that she had fluid in her inner ears. So that hadn't drained after birth. And so even though she had hit all of her milestones physically, her speech was delayed. And so once the operation was done, her hearing was much clearer. So we were told that the reason why she wasn't even able to speak as she should as a 2-year-old is because her hearing was impaired to a degree. So she could hear, but it sounded as if she was underwater. And so everything she heard was muffled. So her ability to imitate and repeat was obviously hampered. And so with that, one of the realizations that also came for me just this year was, because she was so much closer to her father, naturally. So when I gave birth to our second daughter, we didn't have family support. It was basically my husband and our helper at that point. So naturally, he became her primary caregiver whilst I took care of her younger sister. And a year went by, 2 years. This girl would literally cry when her father would leave the room. I could get up and leave, and she wouldn't flinch. Her younger sister, obviously, because she was much closer to me. And I remember saying to my husband, I miss Zoe Luano. There's a connection there that is missing. But one of the things that I also didn't do is because it would be a little hard to manage her in trying to repeat, because what we did with our daughters is we've never used baby language. We've spoken to them the same way I'm speaking to you now. And so, but with her, that exchange wasn't happening, the communication wasn't clear, and all of those things. So being able to grow along with her and be the supportive parent. One of the things that hit me this year was that in a time of prayer and just reflection, and that this also came out of the journaling process that the inner circle constantly reinforces in us. And I remember writing down, and I sensed the Holy Spirit say to me, the reason why you are struggling to connect with your daughter is because you lack compassion. I was taken aback, but I love my daughter. I love my daughter. And it was impressed on me. Yes, you love them. Yes, you love her, but you lack compassion. I literally had to go to the dictionary and read what it means. And I have it here. So let me quickly read. It means to is to lack concern for the sufferings and misfortunes of others. And that was when it dawned on me that it wasn't my child's fault that she had that, she had fluid in her inner ears, had to have an operation. And therefore, it kind of created a challenge in one of her developmental, in her developmental, an aspect of development for her, which is auditory and obviously speech. And it broke my heart. And when I shared it with my husband, he also just had compassion for me. He gave me a hug and he said, "Babe, it's okay. Now you know. I can tell you now." And I'm so glad from that realization, my daughter and I are a lot better. She will cry for me, which didn't happen for over a year. And we can sit, we will play, and she enjoys my company. She will come and she will kiss me. And I just allow her, just be in my space and I am in hers. She's such a brilliant girl. She between the two of them, she's a builder. She builds things, she makes things, whether it's building blocks or just anything. She will stack her toys, a book on top of a pencil on top of, and this thing balanced it. And I'm looking at her trying to figure out what is going on in this intelligent mind. And so, and all of this has come out of the inner circle. I would have been so harsh on my daughter and so forceful with her, not understanding why isn't she getting it? Why isn't this? Why isn't that? And I would have eroded at her esteem. I would have eroded at her identity and who she is, and in the uniqueness and beauty of who God created her to be. Our youngest is much easier to raise. I mean, she's hit all her milestones and all of that. We call her our accountability partner because whatever it is we teach them, if she doesn't see us doing it, she will call us to order. So you can't even, let's say, if I'm being stern with her sister, Zoelua, no, stop it. No, mommy, don't talk to my sister like that. She's very defensive. It's not kind. And so there's so many things that happen in our home, even just how we have allowed our children to enjoy play, to enjoy their childhood. We get comments about, oh, why aren't your children in school? Why this, why that? And again, through the inner circle, we have been able to find the right fit for us, what works for us, what it is our family values are, what it is what path our children are going to take individually. Our youngest is very creative. I can tell you now, Miss Ife, what she does is sometimes with food, she will bite it and she will say, "Look, Mama, I made a dress. And for sure, this thing looks like a dress." Anyone else would, the old me, "Stop being silly. Can you stop? Don't play with your food. Can you eat it?" All of those things. But now, because of all of the knowledge that I have gained in the inner circle, I'm able to identify that my daughter has a creative streak. Both of them in their own right. At 5 and 3, they are cleaning dishes. In fact, my youngest and I, we fight over. Our fight is, "Mama, please, you've cleaned the dishes. Everything is clean now. Please stop." "No, mommy." And this one, she will grab one thing, grab another thing, and the cycle continues. It is true that doing chores can be a joy. I have seen it with my daughters. I wouldn't have known that if I weren't in the inner circle, if I didn't learn what it is I needed to learn. Second book, and I know I've gone a little long, would be The Parenting Advantage. My goodness. As I read, I would highlight just, I think that book is really for us as parents. It shows you as well. I have been able to launch Wise Wives. Wise Wives was launched on the 1st of February this year. Inner Circle gave me the audacity, the courage, the confidence to go out there and actually do something about the ideas that I had in my head, about the things that God has placed on my heart. I thought to myself, if I am here as Emily Sarah with all of the thoughts that I have, all of the challenges that I have, the questions that I have, aren't there other women like me trying to figure out, trying to build their homes with wisdom and not tearing them down. We see so much on social media, the degradation of society, the how disrespectful some women can be to their husbands, how dishonoring. And some of us are literally breaking down our homes with our bare hands and then wondering why it's a disaster zone. But there is help. There are things, there is a book. For me, some of the things, the insights that have come for my own journey have been in between the pages of the books that I read. Because in a webinar, time is limited. Only so much can be said. Even if you listen to every single webinar, but the books are so rich. There is an instruction, there is direction, there is an answer to you in the pages of the book, and sometimes even in the webinars that you don't attend. You don't know what you don't know. And so that would be my second book. The third book would be Coach Chukwemeka's book, Raising the Financially Literate Child. Oh my goodness. There is so much in there that really changed for us as a family. And for me, my late mother was a banker. So can you imagine now struggling with finances for most of my adulthood? One of the things, and I have shared this in different places, is after she passed away, one of the things that was so tragic for my sister and I is that we misused our inheritance, as in literally blew it, and found ourselves wanting. And so being able to rebuild from we didn't know better to now coming into a place of knowledge, of understanding, and wisdom that Inner Circle provides. My sister and I literally, every time we are talking finances, we're talking all of the things that are pertinent to raising wholesome children. And this wouldn't be so if we weren't here. Or maybe it would have come, but not at the point at which this knowledge has met us. And that's the beauty again of the Inner Circle. It gives you speed. What would take you years, 10 years, 20 years to learn, you could learn in a week. No, wisdom can come in a moment, in a voice note, in a testimony or testimonial shared, a story shared, an experience, and an aha moment happens for you. And there you are, you course correct. And you can avoid the detours, some of them that could be detrimental even for your children. As I speak now, at the base of what we're teaching our children with regards to finances is saving and giving. So they each have piggy banks. I also have a piggy bank. For them, whenever they find coins in the home, they know the coins are for their piggy bank because the slot is big enough for that. And so at their level, they are learning that they need to save, that money is also to be saved. It's not just to be spent. If you ask our youngest, the amount is the same for her. Zamar Joy, how much do you have? 7 kwachas. It's actually kwacha, but she says kwachas. And it's so cute. What are you going to do with your money? I'm going to buy Max. There's a particular milk drink that she likes in ShopRite. But we tell her, you don't spend all of your money now. So go and put your money in your piggy bank. And later, at the end of the year, we will count how much you have, and then we will give away some, we will save some more, and we will invest. The concept of investing is not yet there, but we've been able to practically put into motion the things that we're learning. So those 3 books for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I love every part of this read you just mentioned. And if you're just joining us, you're here with Mrs. Emily sharing her transformation through the Inner Circle and through how this book, they are not just pages. She said each time she go through these copies, if she finds something that it does for her. She said you can sit, there are so much that can be said in the webinar. But sitting with this book, you can solve a problem that would have taken you years to solve. Just sitting with each of these copies. And I love that. Parents, I don't know if you say this. The books she mentioned, there are tools. They are not just pages. They are not just some page you just open. Each time you open books, this beautiful reads, each time you open them, you see powerful things that you could apply in your daily, in your daily activities, in your parenting. That, I mean, it changes everything for you. Stop parenting on guesswork. In as much as you're learning, an inner circle parent is a learning parent, is a parent with wisdom, is a thinking parent. In as much as you're learning, try to sit down and read these books. I don't know. That's what makes the inner circle library so powerful. It's so priceless, and you could see from her story in practical terms how applying the things she have learned from this book have changed everything for her. It have made every new transformation. It have paved way for her, and you can't do this thing without knowledge. Yes, you can sit down and listen to Coach Wendy, but if you don't sit down, if you don't read, there are depth of information, there are depth of knowledge, there are the depth of transformation you can never get to if you don't learn how to read, if you don't learn to read, if you don't read these books. One thing is to read, though, another thing is to implement. When you sit down and read, please implement. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. That was so powerful. I would want to know, ma'am, you are a founder of Wise Wives, a community that serves women in marriage, right? And then I want to know, how has the inner circle influenced not just you, your parenting, but also your marriage and the way you serve other wives? Over to you. Thank you so much, ma'am. We'd like to hear from you.
Thank you so much. So, wise wives, our anchor scripture is Proverbs 14, verse 1. The wise wife builds her home, and the foolish one tears it down with her hands. And I can tell you right now that the inspiration for that, even the scripture for it, came as a confirmation. There was one of the webinars that I think Coach Wendy was teaching, and she was talking about how life is not about right and wrong, it's about wisdom and foolishness. And that thing hit me. And I wrote it down and I remembered, I put it down. It was sometime in January. And so one of the things that even Coach Wendy talks about is having the right role models for yourself as a parent. There are a good number of men and women who are role models to me, Coach Wendy, Coach Kunle, our inner circle coaches. Even here locally in Zambia, I'm part of a young women's network that has been pivotal in my growth. It's called Coupe's Young Women's Network. And so all of these things have been a combination. My local church, under the teachings of our bishop, there's elements and aspects of my life that have come together beautifully because of the alignment, because of the desire, because of even just the commitment to growth, the commitment to wanting to do better. And again, if we look at the world today, at the state of the world today, there are so many voices that are contrary, that are counter to what the Word of God says. And for us, we say the Word of God is the final authority on our lives, and therefore we will live our lives in accordance with what the scriptures say. However it is you came into Wise Wives, even for me, I came into the inner circle with preconceived notions. There were things, like I said, that were affirming to me. Like before my husband and I got married, even before, yes, as a single lady, one of the things that I prayed about was the fact that I wanted to be at home to raise my children when the time came. I didn't know what that was what that was going to look like. But interestingly enough, 2 months before my husband and I were to wed, both of us found ourselves out of a job. We got married nonetheless. We've been able to survive the years. The last time I sat in a corporate office was 7 years ago. But again, my growth and my development didn't stop. There were places that I was aligned with and plugged into that fed me and continued to grow me. That now, 2 years, now it's 2 years in the inner circle, that has just amplified everything else that I have been doing in the background. So the birthing of Wise Wives came out of that, an alignment, a desire to serve, to live my life literally in service to others, because my life is not my own. I am not here in isolation. I am here as a seed to be planted. The word talks about if a seed isn't planted, I'm paraphrasing, it abideth alone. But when you plant it, the harvest thereof is multiplied. And that's exactly what every single one of us are supposed to do with our lives. That you live your life as a seed. You do the work, you plant yourself, you give of yourself, and everything, the fruit of your labor, is reverberates in the earth. We're here for a specific period of time. There is no time to waste. Your life, this is not a dress rehearsal. Your life is not meant to be lived through the lens of other people. You are meant to honor the Lord with your journey and with the time that He has given you, and be a good steward of, of the gift of life that He has given you. My honor, when I say, when all is said and done, I want to hear the Lord say to me, well done, my good and faithful servant. So with Wise Wives, that is what we do, realigning women. So the same way I may have come in with doubts about what to do, we find ourselves engaging with one another, learning from one another. Every single month, similar to TIP, we have monthly themes. I can tell you now, a lot of the structure that is in the inner circle is what we are using. The formula, because if the formula works, it works. You can apply to different aspects of your life. Now with our children, even things like what time we eat, what time we sleep, what time is playtime, what time is reading time, what time is, all of those things have come out of inner circle, which is also funny because in high school, when you look at the school system, we lived off of timetables and all of those things, the schedule. But somehow, once you leave university or you leave the school system, these things fall away. But there was an a process to which we did whatever we did, and so we're doing the same thing now with Wise Wives. I'm doing the same thing with my children, even with my own marriage now. My husband and I have conversations. It's no longer haphazard. We are intentional about, let's have marriage time. Let's spend time together. It's so easy to get busy doing, paying bills and being functional around each other, but not quite connecting. I ask my husband ever so often, every day now, I ask him, how can I love you better today? It's small things like that that also allow me to meet my husband where he is. I ask him, what are some of the things that you want to do? Like, where are you at? What's happening in your world? That's actually one of the phrases I say to him at the end of every day, or what happened in your world today? Because I realize that even though we're living together, there are experiences that are unique to him, and I want to be part of every single aspect of his life, not just the part of him that is providing and protecting and all of those things. But I care about my husband. I care about his well-being. I notice when he's tired, and being able to be a suitable helpmeet to him at every single point in turn. Sometimes, like yesterday, he just said, I'm tired. And I said to him, oh God, don't worry, I got it. And so allowing the children to also just give daddy time sometimes is necessary. So my marriage is a whole lot better. And thanks to the Gov and the couples conclave, where both of us are in there as well. Uh, exactly. Our communication has improved. Before, I would I would often say I don't like repeating myself. I would say something, I would maybe express the displeasure or whatever it is. And if my husband hasn't aligned himself or adjusted himself, I will go mute. But that's actually divisive, you know. How will he know? He's not a mind reader, he's not psychic, neither is he the Holy Spirit. Being able to express myself in a manner that isn't demeaning, in a manner that honors him as well. I don't have to be disrespectful when I speak to him. Some of the things that he would tell you for free, that what some of the things that he would say to me is, babe, I don't have a problem with what you have said. The message is clear, but the how. And he will say, sometimes you run your mouth, you're disrespectful. Before, I would be like, he's just being, maybe he's just being a baby. He needs to take it. How come he can speak to me direct and I will take it? I will internalize what he said and take the lead. But for him, why does it sound like disrespect? And it's through these two arms, of the family hub, the couples conclave and inner circle, that I've been able to assess my own self and really hear what he is saying, to be able to understand what he's saying, and also make right of my errors. And so that has been one of the beautiful things. We've been able to have fun as well. You know, raising little people can be exhausting, and all you do is just take care of them and ensure that they're happy, ensure that they're having a good time and they're healthy and thriving. But being able to connect again every single day, praying together. Um, One of my husband is a great conversationalist. If you speak to him, he's such a warm and fun guy to be around. Interesting as well. Knows so many things about things that you even wonder, why do you know these things? But he's such an interesting person to be around. And so I love that about the growth that we've been able to see in our marriage in that regard. Let me go back to Wise Wives a little bit, because again, I have to really thank the Inner Circle program for giving me the courage to do the things that God has placed in my heart. We've been able to put together devotionals, guides. I have a book that's coming out. One of the most scary things I've endeavored to do, but it is through watching other parents, looking at Coach Wendy's life, looking at Coach Kunle's life, looking at the different parents in the inner circle doing amazing things. One of the things that I'm yet to come for is the Masterpiece Woman, or rather the Masterpiece Program. That's my next stop. I've done Coach Wendy's Mastermind, and again, so much depth. I could go on and on and on, but I just want to say that the inner circle has literally been has been foundational and fundamental in allowing me to dare to do what it is I am here to do. And it's not a competition. You will hear stories. You will hear children cooking jollof at 3. It's not to scare you. It's to inspire you. What the inner circle has done for me is literally be proof that it is possible. If I can think it, if God has placed it on my heart, if I look at my children and I see all of those giftings and talents in them, it is possible. With business, I have been able to think even just beyond the transaction of, oh, I am offering a product or a service and I get money in return. I am thinking about, how do I grow this business? How do I scale? And sometimes we get comfortable. If you start making a particular amount of money and you think that's all there is, and that's wrong thinking. Everything that we do, even if we look at creation, everything that God did, nothing he did was meant to just, be concentrated in one small spot. The Great Commission is literally go ye and make disciples. That's covering the entire earth. So now I'm able to think at a global level. I'm thinking to myself, how does what I am doing here impact not just Zambia, not just SADC, but the world? What is it that I am doing? Am I being diligent with the gift? Am I upskilling, or am I getting comfortable? There's no getting comfortable here. Even if you wanted to be a backyarder, it is a matter of time before you are inspired to movement and to motion and momentum. So I think in those, I would sum it up like that. Thank you so much.
Amazing, amazing, that was so profound. Thank you so much, Ma, for sharing that. And if you're just joining, you're listening to Mrs. Emily all the way from Zambia. Share her beautiful, practical story of how the inner circle have changed her life. And she said, there is a depth of me, the element of my marriage, the growth of my marriage that we can, I don't know, that she wouldn't have tested, she shouldn't have tested or witnessed if she wasn't at the inner circle program, if she wasn't at the conclave at the Marriage Seal Academy. Let me say this: you are here. Mm. You are not at the Marriage Seal. Just go and get your space. So grab your slot now. You can't be here and you've not tested the conclave at the Marisol Academy. You're wasting your time. She said it transformed a whole thing for her. And that's so true because parents, I mean, if you cut that, parenting and marriage are deeply connected. It goes hand to hand. The inner circle, the conclavite, it goes hand to hand. It is one thing that you need. I mean, when your marriage grows, your parenting become easier. Look at her story, listen to her, see the way she has been able to break it step by step to how this two community have made everything around her so sweet, so easy. It's not just you giving information, it's about how you say it. She have been able to learn how to communicate, how to connect better, and it has shifted everything for her. And imagine how beautiful it is when you learn in the inner circle and start pouring into your lives, the other lives, your marriage, your legacy, your children. Everything just works smoothly, everything just works easily, and it becomes like air you're living on a steez. That is because you've put yourself in a place, in a community where you tap from wisdom, where you tap from knowledge, where you tap from a place that you run with, and it just. Thank you so much for sharing that, ma. So, ma, moving on, I want to know, you are a homemaker, yet you are also a business owner. Yes, you've already mentioned, partly, but then we want to know, as a business owner and as a leader of women's community, how has being in the inner circle spilled into your business and your leadership? How has it transformed the whole journey for you? How has it made a name for your business entirely? Over to you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Like I said earlier, the structure first and foremost. One of the, I think it was the Seasons of Life webinar that literally had me rethink my business model. So I own a business that sells accessories. It's called Ngazi Mila. And Ngazi Mila in Nsenga means to sparkle or to shine. So, accessories, earrings, rings, and things like that. I realized there was a point as I was, looking at a few months or even just forecasting my year. I realized that how I was doing business needed to change because now I had added a few things to my plate. I had joined the Naira Academy. I am in the Couples Conclave. I have wives. I am in the inner circle. I am a mom, very present at home. I literally run from my home. It's an online store and all of that. So before I would order my stock and then sell it. But then I would find that for months and months on end, there would be residual stock. And that's money tied into a product that hasn't yet moved. You run a sale and maybe a few pieces move. That had to change because then I assessed the fact that, okay, this is where I'm at now. What I need to be doing with my children now is, with the connection and fostering that, and that means spending more time with them, whether it's teaching them how to clean dishes or ensuring that they're tidying up, they're reading, and they're doing all the things that they need to be doing. That had to change. So now my business model changed to client order based, meaning you come as a client and you share, inspiration pictures. I will source the item for you. You pay for it. It is delivered. That exchange has happened. And now I also deal with brides because, those are more, I can plan my life around a particular bride or a few brides. And even I know how many clients I can take per time. When you're dealing one-on-one and trying to customize a collection for a bride to be, it does take a lot of time, the sourcing, the back and forth, you're negotiating and you're looking at a client's budget. Because again, like I said, for me, it's not just about the money that I get, but it's the relationships that I build in the process. It's about establishing that social connection as well, being able to give my clients an experience, even with whatever it is whatever it is that my budget is at any given point. I will give my client honor as a still comes into play. The packaging is nice, the delivery service, how I communicate, everything, there's transparency and all of that. because I want my clients to feel how I would like to feel when I'm shopping, especially online, giving them that peace of mind that this is not a Mickey Mouse operation. Our beginnings may be humble, but where we're going is great. And so you want clients to trust you. So much happens. People are defrauded online all the time. And for me, I refuse to be among those. I am a woman of faith. That should show even in how I do business. So that's now the business itself. With Wise Wife, being able to journey with the women in the community. They're in different ages. We're privileged enough to even have older women in the group. And so they share their experiences, being able to do life with them. So much happens. One of my greatest joys and privileges is when a wife calls me and she needs someone to talk to. Being able to be a safe space is such a privilege. And I tell them all the time, I do not take for granted that you trust that what you have shared here with me will stay here, number one. Number two, whatever it is that will be shared here is not my own wisdom. We have a manual, and that manual is God. Before we start the conversation, we will pray and ask God for wisdom. At the end of that conversation, we will pray, because the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. And so there is no, if you can attempt to do life without God, and regardless of your faith, it is necessary to seek the wisdom of God on every single thing in your life. So that's how that has impacted me. It has been a joy for me to also see women in my community come back and say, "Hey, sis M, this thing that you did, the devotional, I'm also going to start this." Some of them also now have seller accounts, things that they weren't doing before. Women who have value to give are now realizing, I can actually package this thing well and have it be of benefit to others. So we won't know who is good at what, except that our gifts find expression. And that has been the greatest joy of my life so far, is seeing other women as well come into their own, being able to give of themselves, to be of value to their homes. We've gotten testimonies about husbands just not understanding what's happening because there's been a transformation with their wife. They're happier. And for us, the goal is, let's deal with you. Because if the woman who is the wife, is whole, is healthy, is thriving, it will impact every single area of your life. So that has been that. My husband says as well, he's been very inspired. He's also going to write the book. Look out for that when that happens. But I have seen him as well watch me and say, "Babe, you're really doing a good thing. You're doing amazing. I can't believe that your community is only 8 months old. Look at how far you've come." And every single day I journal. I have my gratitude journal. And just the other night, I was reading some of the things I wrote in February. And I was amazed. There's so much that you can forget. And if you don't document, that's another thing we're taught here. Document your journey. When you have your parenting the journal, that who do I desire to be? So that's an affirmation. What should I do? What shouldn't I do? What do I need to do differently? What is the result of me, implementing this tool? What was the challenge? It's reflective every single day. If you go back and even read maybe the last month, you will be amazed at the things that you have written and said you desire to be. You are being those things. You are that mom. You are that father. And a huge shout out to all the Yada fathers who are in here and are committed, because your presence makes all the difference in this parenting journey. So that's how, for me, the inner circle has really just impacted my life beyond. Um, on my way to, that bank balance showing the zeros, as my billionaire coach says, Coach Chukwemeka. But it's been one thing after the other. I look forward to my daughters being old enough to join the girls club. You know, there's a plug in for every single aspect of your life here. There are amazing yarders doing amazing things. Shout out to my cohort 1J. Shout out to my power circle as well, my sisters. There is so much that's happening. Um, you might have a challenge in one thing. I have seen Coach E, with the fitness and eating right and being your best. So much. There is so much to do, and there's so much to experience here for the betterment of your life, for the betterment of your children, for the betterment of generations to come. God cares about the generations that are beyond us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma. That was so powerful. Parents, are you hearing? Growth is one thing. I mean, when it comes to you in one area of your life, it also spills into other aspects of your life. It's how parents come to the inner circle and they just want to learn how to raise wholesome children. But it goes beyond that. It goes beyond you raising your children wholesomely, raising your children the right way, raising legacies. There's something else it does to you as a person. It shifts you, it transforms you. I have been so privileged to be in this community, the conclave, the marriage seal, the inner circle program, the masterpiece, all around it. And I can tell you, because I know that there is something, you just become like a raw gold. When you go through the inner circle, when you go through these programs, through these communities, you don't come, if anybody sees you coming, there's one thing between you sitting with somebody having a communication with them. When you see the others, you don't even need to have communication with them for you to know that there is something. Seeing them from afar is enough for you to see that there is a light, there is something shining from within out. It just transformed you. It just gives you this, you just become a different, like, you can't go through the inner circle program, through the conclave, through the masterpiece. You can't go through it and come out and say you are the same the way you were before you joined. I'm telling you because I'm a living testimony. You will go there, you will become something, like it comes subconsciously. You learn how to structure your business, how to structure everything around you, how to make your home, how to make your business, how to even lead people around you, how to become a great leader. Ordinary, as you're journaling, you see yourself writing a book. You see yourself writing, and I don't know. I really love that I'm hearing it from Mrs. Emily, sharing it, saying that the inner circle sharpens you as a person, it sharpens you as a whole, not just as a parent. There's just something. Look out, I don't know if you're listening, I don't know if you're hearing her story. She's been able to put out in terms how the inner circle, how these programs have been able to help our children. Look, let me tell you, when you come into this space, the inner circle program, as you're learning, we have the community have everything it takes to, make your children become as well. As you're learning, you're transforming your children. You see that around the inner circle, there are girls hub, there are the boys academy, you see everything you need here. Everything is here. Everything you need to become is here. Just like a child growing a teeth, you bear a child, you breastfeed them, everything, every step, every process, everything you need at every step to walk, to grow your feet, to bed, everything you need is in this community. And I ask you, why are you still there? Because when you come in, you see that you don't have to struggle again. You just grab, you just tap, and you see yourself, everything aligns. The elements of you, like you just naturally become. According to Ms. Emily, when she was sharing from the beginning, I don't know who was listening, she mentioned that she wasn't someone who actually have this is not her thing. She's always shy. She don't always like to speak out like this. But what happened to her life? What do you think happened to her life? Transformation. Where did you think it came from? It has been able to transform everything about her as a person, and she's been able to come into a space to be able to see the blind spots, to be able to see that there are gaps. And my children, my daughter, she just mentioned my daughter, she's going to join the girls' club because she's seen. She has been able to mention the Naira Academy, Her children are in the Naira Academy. She's been able to share in practical terms what the children have learned and how it has transformed them. The children are learning, she's learning, they are growing the same time. Do you not see? Do you not see how easy it is when you come into this space? Do you not see how easy it is for you to just, I mean, you just uplift, you just shine. As you're beholding, you're becoming your children, every part of you, everybody around you. It's just something so beautiful. And that's one profound thing that could happen to every living being existing. Because, I mean, you don't know. When you don't know, is a different thing. You don't know, you are just wallowing in ignorance. But when you know, when you come in, oh my God, she mentioned that even if you are a backyard yada, even if you are at the back, you're not so, you just want to be in the community, you're not, it just, it will hit you. The inner circle will just meet you. You will just bring yourself and say, hey, I'm tired of being at the back, or I want to be in the front. You just want to become, because the beholding is just too much for you to keep quiet. You don't want to keep quiet. You just want to keep bringing it. You just want to keep shining, because it will definitely shine. Thank you so much. That was so powerful, man. I would want to know, moving on, and if you're just joining us, you're listening to Mrs. Emily share her story all the way from Zambia. She has been able to put in terms practical ways that the inner circle have transformed her. And if you listen, you will be able to pick something that will transform you today. Miss Emily, you are raising children in Zambia. Can you paint a picture for us what parenting like in your environment is? What are the unique challenges you've seen in your environment? Can you also put out for us one practical tools from the inner circle that you now use, that you've applied in your daily home, that now makes a difference for you, that now, I don't know, that now shifts everything in your home, in your children, in your parenting journey? Over to you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Such a beautiful question. We live in a small town, in one of the small towns in the Copperbelt province. So we're closer to the Democratic Republic of Congo. One of the things that was a challenge for us, because we, as we're, doing life here, my husband is a farmer. We were thinking about, okay, when the time comes for school, or if we have to begin to think about social interactions for the children, who do we connect with? And so we went around, checked out a few schools. There was one school that, most parents were like, oh, no, this is such a good school, and it's a Christian school. And so we went in, we met with the headmaster. And that list coach gave about the questions that you ask, I think there's 100 of them when you're, finding a school for your child. We asked, one of the things that we cared about was bully prevention. What do you have? Arts programs? Do you have languages? Do you have, because we recognize that we're raising global citizens. We may be raising them in Zambia, but they're not just confined to Zambia. How will they be able to interact with their, counterparts in Japan? I say Japan because that's my our youngest favorite place. We saw this documentary, another tool that we was shared in the inner circle about, be deliberate about what entertainment is for you. Be deliberate about what it is you take in as information. And so one of the things that we look at is the different education systems around the world. And that particular day we were watching Japan, and we saw this, primary school, and our daughter fell in love. If you ask her today, she wants to go. If you talk about school, she says she wants to go to school in Japan. So her papa and I have pressure to make that happen for her. But that exposed us to so much in thinking about what are the things a global citizen needs to learn now. One of the things that we have also understood as parents, or being in the inner circle, is that these aren't just children. These are adults in training. So we cannot expect them to be what it is we don't train and put in them, what we don't instill, what we don't discipline them in. If they're not skilled, then they go out there and they're literally a burden and a menace to society. And that we refuse for that to be our story. That we look forward to a time that the world knows who our children are. And by looking at them, they say to themselves, who raised these children? You know? So for us, that is very, very key. Raising our children as well, being at home, the approach that we've taken, and shout out to Coach Omolola for giving us the liberty and the license and the all the love to just say children under 6 are meant to be at home. It was our decision even before we came into the inner circle, but it was so encouraging and affirming to know that we were on the right path. What their life looks like now is simple skills. We like now they're learning how to bathe themselves. And what we have learned is first, you teach the child how to do it. The next step is you supervise them, you have them do it, and you supervise. The next step after that is that they should be able to do it on their own. We don't get tired of repeating. You will repeat, you will repeat, and you repeat some more. So for me, who even I had this, I'm the type of person, I don't like repeating myself. God said, wait, let me give you children. Let's correct that thinking about you.
Then you
Because
learn
that is
patience.
even the way. Exactly. You will learn patience. My daughter will literally say to me, Mommy, I don't like that. It's not kind. Um, because of we say this in faith with our oldest as well, is that she's learning to speak. We have seen her greatly improve. One of the things that we implemented as a family was the basics of sign language, because I figured I know she can understand us. You can send her, you can pretty much have her, Zoe Luano, take your plate to the kitchen. After they eat, they would take their plates to the kitchen. The one with that fight, she wants to clean the dishes, not a problem. That has been eased for me. But we realized that how do we have her, engaging mentally? So now even the alphabet, there's she can, she can sign A, B, C, like that. There are times the other day, was yesterday actually, I asked her, I said, Mama, would you like some tea? She literally signed tea. And I was so proud of her. And so being able to see those connections, being able to see her even just communicate in her own way. Before, if she wanted something, she would just cry. She maintained that, that childlike way of communicating, just crying. And it would be a lot for my husband and I. But being in the inner circle, we learned she's simply trying to communicate. We needed to stop whatever it is that we're doing and focus on the child. What is she trying to say? Understanding her. The greatest gift for me, again, has been understanding my children and understanding their individuality. They both love to sing, they love music. And so they have instruments, they have a xylophone, they have guitars that they've torn apart. The reading as well is part of their culture. Shout out again to Coach Omolola. They tear their books. There's actually a video that I shared in our cohort. Our youngest was ripping the page of the book. And I said, Mama, why are you doing this? And she says, Daddy will buy more. And so we laughed about it because we will not tire. They will rip the books, we will buy more. They will rip some more, and we will buy them more. So it's things like that, seeing them color and just find the expression. They will come and they will share stories. My daughter will, even our oldest, she will color whatever it is, and she will bring it and she will present it. And now I sit there and her father will sit there and we will, with joy. Oh my goodness, you did such a great job. Is this a this? And she smiled, and you can see the joy in that. They both love the outdoors. Any given day, they're outside doing something, weather allowing as well. Swimming, they have a little portable pool that they can't wait to jump back in, and all of those things. So they've been able to learn, even at their own pace. We continue to challenge them. Even, like for us now, a few words that we can sign, learning the scriptures. My daughter would say, Mommy, she asked us the question, and this is another thing for parents. When coach is shouting, you need knowledge. You will need to be able to answer the questions that your children ask you. We were talking about how Um, I am a female. I am a she. Obviously, there are girls as well. It's she, but daddy is a man, so it is he. And somehow she asked, and she says, "Mommy, Jesus is a man. Yes, he's a man. But why isn't he a she?" I sincerely did not know the answer. Um, I said, "Well, baby, let's find out. Let's come and ask daddy," was my decoy. But they will ask you the most interesting questions. But that we have TIP is literally the village you didn't know you needed to raise your children.
Fire.
The questions are as interesting and as diverse as we are. Maybe someone has the answer. Oh yeah, please share with me. Why isn't Jesus a she so that I can go and tell my baby I can have an
What to
answer
do?
for her? Exactly. But it has been such a beautiful experience for us because we are parenting based off of what our values are, what it is we are preparing our children for. We have the necessary tools to make that possible and the resources. The courses that come along are not to drain your pocket. There is no amount too great for you to learn the knowledge and gain the wisdom that you need for your children. Same as me, I may not need a particular um, wisdom right now, but teenage years are coming for me. One of the things that also helped me being in the inner circle is the issue of identity and embracing what I look like. I have a few wigs. I like to wear wigs because I like the fact that I can change my hair and my appearance. I did not know this. One of the things that happened to me postpartum after our youngest was hair loss. And so I tried different things, braiding my hair, cutting my hair short. And last year, December, I decided to have sister locks installed. I needed something that was stress free. I wasn't spending too much money. That's another thing you will learn to do here. You will spend your money wisely, you will invest your money. And so here, yes, I have reties every 6 weeks, but when I calculate how much I'm spending on my hair now than I was all these years, I would be significantly wealthier. I did not know that even in just wearing my natural hair, a time would come that my youngest would notice. Both of them would wear my wigs sometimes and say, "Oh, my hair is pretty. Mama, look, my hair is pretty." And then I noticed our youngest started saying, "Mommy, I want to wear a wig. Mommy, I want to wear a wig." And I said, "Why, baby? Your hair is beautiful. Look." And I do my children's own hair. We will wash, we have our wash days. We will braid hair and they wear their hair naturally, no tension, nothing. I, I did not know that the time had come that my child would look to me what my physical appearance is and begin to identify herself. And so now, having worn my hair naturally and in sister locks, she also calls her hair now sister locks, even though they are braids. So your children, especially your daughters, will mirror you, and their ability to be confident, to have self-esteem, to think they're beautiful and know they're beautiful and love the skin that they're in will be informed even by your choices. The hair you wear, makeup. I don't have a thing against makeup. I wear makeup. I'm wearing a little makeup right now, but I am deliberate about how I look and ensuring that my daughters know that they're fearfully and wonderfully made. So that has, in a nutshell, been the structure, from beauty to the things that they're learning to fun to entertainment and the like, learning sign language a little bit. All of us are in it. Everything we do is sing song. You're waking up in the morning. I have songs that I have made up. When they're bathing, this is the way you watch yourself, watch yourself. Everything is sing song. And for them, they're internalizing and it's enjoyable for them. We aren't the stressed family, the yelling family that we were. And I'm so, so grateful for the transformation and the gift and the village that is the Intentional Parent Academy. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, ma. She said, the inner circle will give you everything you need to place the right atmosphere. And she mentioned, mirroring your children, the inner circle will equip you. There was something profound you said, ma. You said, sometimes the knowledge you're tapping now, you're equipping yourself with from the inner circle, might not be what you will need to apply now. Maybe it is what you will need to apply tomorrow. You see, there is no knowledge that is waste. The inner circle gives you everything. And she said, the inner circle is the village that you never know you needed. Because when you come in, it keeps equipping you, it keeps giving you all the information so that you are not stuck at any point in your parenting journey. At every point in her parenting journey, it meets her to where she could apply these practical tools and she runs with it. Imagine having the system like this in your home. Imagine having the systems like the inner circle in your home. Imagine having the structures in your home. The difference is day and night. That's why we always say the inner circle is not a motivational place. We don't do motivational. We give you practical tools. We give you practical things that immediately you apply it, you see it. Every time you learn something from the inner circle program, every time you sit in for a webinar, every time you read a book, every time you read a testimony, every time you read people, their struggles and how they were able to handle it, every time you go through the community, every time you go through the inner circle village, you pick up something that could always answer to you at every point. It meets you at the time you need it. Whenever time you see yourself facing something that you feel that would have been so ambiguous for you to handle, and then you think about it. Oh, come on, I've actually seen something like this. I mean, I've learned this or that from the inner circle, and then you apply it and it just goes smoothly. You see how beautiful that is. It could be you. If only you could just come into this community, come in and stay, because if you don't stay, it is another thing for you. The things you learn today might be things you apply tomorrow, and when you are not there, you miss that off. You see, that's how powerful that is. Thank you so much, ma'am. Please, I would want to ask before we round up. Some parents are listening and might be saying, well, my parents didn't do all the training and I turned out okay. What would you say to that? And the funny part of this is, how many parents, how parents, sorry, they say, I don't need to learn about parenting. My parents didn't read books. They didn't go to inner circle webinar, and they didn't, pay to join any program, and they turned out okay. They turned out fine. Mrs. Emily, please, what would you think of when you hear parents say things like this? When I don't know, when they are saying we are okay, I want you to share to them, are they really okay, or are they just surviving dysfunction beautifully in their own space? Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. First things first is you don't know what you don't know. Someone rightly said that the worst kind of darkness or blindness is the one that you don't even know that you are blind. And so, inner circle is literally the light. It will shine in the dark areas of your life. If you think you are okay, what is okay? What is okay? What is someone should even check the definition of okay. Um, you may come in the way that you are, but you will not stay the way that you are. You shared something about being able to impact my family. The inner circle will have you impacting your world, literally, because the things that you will learn here as well, you will use, or maybe you might share with someone, a friend might share a challenge with you. And maybe it is not even their challenge particularly. Maybe it's a family friend or a family member or a friend of a friend. But you will share something that will touch a life of someone you might never ever meet. That is the strength of being in a community that feeds you and feeds you, the word of God, parenting, and everything else that you need, everything that pertains to life and godliness. That scripture literally comes alive as flesh, as it were, in the inner circle. So I was reading Proverbs 14, verse 12, and it says, there's a way that seems right in in a man's eyes, but the end thereof is death. I challenge every single person that is here now and everyone that will hear this or watch this later. Go and read that verse in the Passion Translation and in the Message Translation, and then answer yourself and figure out if you are okay. There are so many things about parenting that, I mean, they seem like common sense, but even that common sense seems to be evolving. There was a time that it is it is common sense that a family unit is male and female. You look at the world today, the variations of that. Whose version is that? And what agenda are they pushing? That is the kind of world that your children, my children, are going into. Coach Wendy was talking about the safety, and it's in the wisdom note this morning. And it's funny because coming into the inner circle, in my mind, there was a safety that I felt I could manage or maintain in my home. But we've heard time and time again, your bedroom, your home is too small to raise your children. You're not raising them for your bedroom or for your yard. You are raising them for the world, to be salt and light. They are not, they are in this world, but they are not of it. That only happens with the correct information, the right wisdom, the right training. TIP is training for you first as a parent so that you know what to do. A lot of the times we think we know what we need to do, but we don't. I learned in the inner circle about learning styles and zeroing in on the differences of my children, how each one learns, and how to maximize and optimize their strengths. How else would I know that? I may have learned it or come into contact with that information much later, but it would have taken me a while. It was in one webinar that shifted for me, a mindset shift. And immediately I began to look at my children differently. And by differently, I mean intently, deliberately, on purpose. Looking at and being able to plan, how do we hone this one's skills? How do we hone her sister's skills? How do we find ourselves as members of this family? That it's not just that we are teaching our children, but we too as parents, we learn so much from our children. Our accountability partner does not let us talk to each other anyhow. If it even looks or seems like you are not being kind, she will tell you to your face, you are not kind. That's not kind. Those are things that you will learn here. It may sound, just like as words of a child, but for me, they have greatly impacted my life. I am more conscious of the things that I say, how I treat my husband, how I treat my children, because even the aggression, we would smack our children before. I didn't want them fighting each other physically, but guess what happened? If my youngest was unhappy with her older sister, she would hit her. And then here I am saying, don't hit your sister. It's not the right thing to do. But I am acting violently towards my child when I smack them. And a lot of people, those of us that might be hearing this for the first time, may be in uproar about it, or it might not sit well with them. But that's the truth. Violence begets violence. My child doesn't know that this is discipline. They don't have that concept of it being discipline. It's not even discipline. It's violence. It is what it is. And so I can't act one way and be surprised when my child repeats that behavior. So please come into the inner circle. Come into a place that will help you. There is strength for your journey. Inner circle is strength for your journey. No matter the circumstance, no matter the challenge, if you are winning, we applaud you. In fact, you are inspiration to us to keep going. And again, you are the proof that it is possible. For those of us that might find ourselves with challenges, Zambia, for instance, outside my home, I can control what my children watch or what my children hear. but they might interact with someone outside who comes from a home that, parents are absent. The children are practically raising themselves, and maybe their language is crass. How do I deal with that? How do I prepare my children for that kind of world? Zambia, I mean, if you compare it to the Western world, the LGBTQ, all of those things are happening. But to the scale, or at least or how loud it is, how in your face it is, cannot be compared to the West or maybe even Nigeria. People, I know they were trying to, this whole Pride March thing, it didn't quite sit well with a lot of people. So there's still a great distance to which, there's full exposure, but we are not unaware that these things are happening. We are not unaware that children, even in boarding schools, there's homosexuality, or there's, all kinds of things, all kinds of vices, pornography. I do my best, even within my circle of influence and the people that I interact with my own sister. We talk about these things. How do we safeguard our children about right and wrong, about the wisdom and the foolishness of this world? How do we ensure that even when they go out into the world, they can stand on the things that we have taught them, to say that, okay, this is abnormal, and they can actually pinpoint and say, this is not a part of our culture as a family, or even my faith. So many things are happening. Drug abuse, alcohol abuse, gambling. The rate at which Zambians are gambling is astounding. How do we counter that except we raise our children in the wisdom and the knowledge of God to equip them? And we're not just, again, you're not just praying. God forbid, as Coach Wendy says, is not a parenting strategy. There is a way, and all of that you will find. You will be resourced, you will be empowered, you will transform so that your world can be transformed. And together, as a united front, we can change the world for the better. So please join the inner circle. If you have young boys, let them join the Boys Academy. There's the Teens Academy with Coach D, the Naira Academy, everything, Couples Conclave. Find your fit and plug in. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I think you're muted.
That was so amazing. Thank you so much, ma'am. And if you're just joining us, you're listening to Mrs. Emily share her profound story. And she said, the inner circle is the light that lightens your dark path. It is the light you need. You know, you hear parents. I mean, that's the truth. I don't know why parent thinks parenting is not learned. They don't need to sit to learn parenting. Parent, this is the truth. Many of us turned out okay, but we are still carrying wounds we don't talk about. Why should we do that? Why do you want to let your children inherit the struggles you're carrying all over you? Why? When inner circle can be your strength, according to Miss Emily, she said the inner circle is the strength you need. When you come into the inner circle, it changes everything. The inner circle gives you the chance to break this cycle, raise children better. Sometimes I wonder, why do some parents think parenting doesn't need training? I mean, Biko Kamjikelun. Why do you think? I mean, you go to school to learn medicine, you go to school to learn law, you go to school to learn accounting. But for one thing, one assignment God has personally handed you, your children, you said you don't need parenting, you don't need to learn about it. Why? When you can, all you just need to do is just you don't do parents on freestyle. It's not on vibes. You can do it better, according to Miss Emily. She said the inner circle is the place where you can come in everything you want, everything you need to raise your children to become a better person is all surrounding you. It's just one place. I don't know who even do who thought. Yes, I know. Previously, before now, They were thinking there's nothing like learning to, but now there is.
Mhm.
And you can't just become, show me a great person and I will show you a parent who raised that person with wisdom, an intentional parent. That is how it should be. You don't have to raise children on freestyle, on vibes. There is a level of intentionality you will need to apply to raise a wholesome child, to raise a child that the nation will adore, to raise legacy. Thank you so much, ma'am. Please, before I let you go, I would like to ask you, ma'am. Others say 120,000 for single slots. I don't know, previously before now, because it's something I've encountered, right? People always argue, why should I register for inner circle program for a year? You are asked to pay for single slot for this whole community that gives you this whole structure and system, everything you need for just 120,000 for single and 200,000 for couple. And some people still argue, they say, is it really worth it? Is way too much. It's not supposed to be that expensive. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think I'm supposed to pay this amount of money to register to learn how to parent. Please, ma'am, I want you to share with them why they need this inner circle and why the amount that have been specified is really worth it. Thank you, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you. What we pay for to be in the inner circle is essentially a token of appreciation to Coach Wendy for everything that she shared. And so, those of us who are Zambian, or at least even in SADC, know Nando's, right? If you calculate that amount, that's about how much you would spend on one sitting for about a family of six to eight people. So one meal, that money would be gone. And I think there was another yada that shared that that's literally food money, lunch money. It is a matter of priority. What value have you placed on your family? What value have you placed on your children? What value have you placed on your own self? You can spend money on, if you even calculated how much you spend on Netflix in a year to just sit and enjoy, I mean, they call it enjoyment. How many shows on Netflix have you watched? How many
You
of
see,
those shows have actually enriched your life, that you can look at your life and say, I am not who I was 2 weeks ago? If you even just took a week and were serious with yourself in the inner circle, you will not recognize who you are at the end of that week. So no amount that is charged is too large, is too big. If you like, don't pay it. You will meet coach at an hourly rate. And as is said, and also it may not even be that you see her at the point of your emergency. You may have to wait months. And can that situation wait? Do you want to take the chance on whatever emergency you might have, and hopefully it will sort itself out? There are parents who have come in bleeding. They are bleeding, their children are bleeding, everybody's bleeding. Don't let this be an emergency. Don't let your parenting be a case of emergency. There is a way that you can go about parenting that equips you for your journey. And that even when the challenges of life come, it's not a question of will challenge, maybe there will be no challenges. They will come. We are in this world, we will face trials, we will face tribulations. Will you be ready to face those challenges head on? Do you have the necessary wisdom, the necessary skills to navigate those rocky waters? When the storms of life hit, will you stand firm like the house built upon the rock, or will you fall flat? And scripture says, if you faint in the day of adversity, it means your strength was small, your faith was small. Don't wait for calamity to hit. Be ready, be girded, be strapped up, ready for war for our children, because it's a war out there. Thank you so much.
thank you so much. That was so profound. And if you've been listening, this is Miss Emily from Zambia sharing her profound story. And she's been able to level it out that the inner circle is not expensive. It is an investment. It's even the littlest thing you just need. It's not even to compare with the money you spend on the on having fun, book for a table on a show, to pay for your Netflix account, to have fun, to watch, to do a lot of things, to even subscribe your phone. I mean, it's not compared to it. So for me, I will always say it's all about priority. Think about it. You spend far more fixing broken relationship later if you don't build the foundation right now. Miss Emily said, it is a place where you learn how to navigate. She says challenges will always come. The rocky, flow will always come. The challenges, the struggle will always come. But if you don't equip yourself, how would you manage it? How would you handle it? So it's all about now building the right foundation. The inner circle saves you from a lot of pain, a lot of costs, a lot of struggles, a lot of challenges, because they will come. Are you equipped? Are you ready? Is to stay ready, equipped and rooted, so that when it comes, it doesn't weigh you. It's something you could just tap, 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 you handle it, and then you moved on. Thank you so much, Mrs. Emily. Thank you for opening up your heart and your story, for sitting with us here today, for breaking your transformation in little term, in such a practical term, in such way, to share with us all the way from Zambia. Ma, we really appreciate you. We, the entire MIPG family, appreciate you. We honor you. Thank you so much, Ma, and enjoy the rest of your day. We would like to let you go now. Bye. See
Bye.
you
Thank you
in
so
the
much.
yard.
Really
All right,
appreciate
ma'am.
it.
Thank you so much. Bye. Thank you so much if you've been joining us and you've been listening and you've been with us here. I Parents, please, have you been listening to Mrs. Emily? I can't help but think about something very funny but very real. You know, those parents who say, I don't need coaching, I don't need to learn about parenting. My parents didn't read books and we turned out fine. I want to ask, did we really turn out fine? Are we actually fine, or we are just surviving dysfunction? Like, are we really fine? I mean, it's been something that each time I ask myself and I say, the truth is, parenting is not just it's not a freestyle. It is an assignment. Honestly, it is an assignment. God handed us the children as of his kingdom come. And if you don't equip yourself, if you don't equip ourselves, we risk repeating cycles that could have, been prevented. That could have just been prevented. Broken people all over the world moving around because of lack of intentionality. Miss Emily's story is a proof that when you invest in yourself as a parent, it spills into your children, into your marriage, into your business, into everything you do. Everybody around you could literally testify it, even in your community. It changes everything for you. That's what the inner circle gives you. It gives you the tools, it gives you the structures, the wisdom, and a family of intentional parents working in the same journey. The community, the whole village of the inner circle program. It gives you all of it, and you move forward. You don't go backward. So let me ask you, in the next 10 years, what story will your children tell about you? What would they say? Would they say, my parents prayed and hoped? Or would they say, my parents equipped themselves and gave me the best gift of intentional parenting? You know, for some parents, every day they just kneel down and keep shouting, oh Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord, fire, 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 can't stand bad. Then they just dust their knees and their hands, and then they just say, I've committed her over to God. I've handed him over to God. Prayer is good though. Really, I mean, it's not a very bad thing, but parents, let just get it. Don't get it twisted. Don't just get it wrong. Prayer is okay. Ebere is good. It's good. It's very good. But hear me. If you don't do what is necessary, if you don't learn, if you don't implement, if you don't do the right thing, if you don't read, if you don't do the right thing, you will end up with nothing. There will be no results. Everything wasted. You will waste all your time doing what, I don't know. You will end up getting results that's not even. You will see your children. You will just be broken. Your children are broken. You are broken. There will be no results. Please don't be left out. Don't let the flock of ignorance carry you away. Flood na be according to Kuchebuka. Don't let it carry you. Be intentional. And intentionality starts with raising that human being, that seed. That seed God have given to you, God have given, deposited into your hands. That's the kingdom come assignment for you. Don't jeopardize it, please. Be intentional at it, at raising that human being, that creature God has given into your hand. Don't joke with it, please. The inner circle is open now. Don't wait until crisis drive you to seek help. Don't seek for help when it have gotten so bad. Please, don't. Join the community now. Don't wait until your children are already out of hand. This is the time. The best time is now. The best time was yesterday, and another second best time is now. Plant the seed now so that you will bear the good fruits in the future. Don't waste your time doing kalu kalu. Don't waste your time doing nonsense, anyhowness. Be intentional. Be intentional. Be rooted. Start implementing. Start reading. Start. Be in the community. The inner circle for single slot is currently 120, discounted from 150,000, and the couple slot is currently 200,000, discounted from 250,000. Make the move today. Your child destiny is in your hands. Yes, it is. Your child deserves your child deserves an intentional parent. Please, your child deserves it. Join the community now. Be intentional. Start moving forward and don't move backward. We have amazing reads. We have books that could literally, you could sit with and come out with a practical tools that could change the whole thing for you. Please, if you need our copy of book, reach out to Books by Wendy Olege on Instagram to pick your copies, please. Do that and be blessed. And see you next time on my intentional parenting journey. Until then, stay intentional, stay equipped, keep raising children with sense. We go tomorrow again. See you. Bye. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for staying. Thank you for listening. Thank you for creating your time to join us today. And as you listen and implement, you will remain blessed. Thank you. Bye. See you tomorrow.
Common phrases in the inner circle. Let's go.
You're coming for an inner circle webinar and you're not with your yellow blanket with red trimmings. Is that even a joke?
Oh, I'm running and I'm not looking back because 10,000 lions are chasing me. I have watched all the webinars, but today, Coach came with a bazooka.
Even with my humility agbada, I still collected.
If you're not in the ark, you better enter now because flood na bia o.
In the inner circle, we dey walk and they show.
CIP police is coming for you. There's no anyhowness here.
You definitely cannot relate because you are not in the yard.
If you are not in the yard,
why not?